All right, everyone, welcome back. We are joined now with one of our amazing agent heroes. I want to just first let everyone know what an agent hero is. Agent heroes are our network of real estate agents who are vetted by Millie. First and foremost, on their connection to the military, we want to make sure that our folks are working with somebody that's lived the life and actually PCS themselves. And then also, we make sure that we are looking for just the cream of the crop, folks that have been doing this for quite some time, have an amazing track record, and more than anything, a passion to help military families. So, Marilyn, welcome. And will you tell us a little bit about your connection to the military?
Sure. Well, I was raised a Marine brat. So I was PCSing long before I ever became a spouse. But now I am a spouse as of about 7 years. So I've done a handful of moves with that too. So kind of a lifelong military connection all around my family.
Awesome. How did you come to find real estate as your career choice? I know, career choices are a fun thing to talk about when you talk about military spouseness. So tell me about your journey to becoming a real estate agent.
Sure. I had a 25-year marketing and advertising background, and I wanted a new career that allowed me to apply a lot of what I learned there, but also something that would be very portable as a military spouse. And of course, everybody says, I want to work for myself. And I think that's a great option for a military spouse. Real estate, you can move, you can be successful in more than one market. I'm now on my second market, and I think it's a great option.
So, we often hear from service members and families when we talk about real estate, because a lot of what we do is helping people who are choosing to buy a home. We often hear, well, that's not really in the cards for us just yet. We are still active duty. We're going to be PCSing again. And we're huge proponents of telling people, like, there's a choice for everyone and it always varies. But what would you say to, let's say, a young family or someone who's even been in as long as we have, bumping 18 years, who say to you, no, that's not an option because we're going to move eventually and I don't want to get stuck with a house? How do you have conversations around making sure that we're exploring all the options available to us and understanding what's available?
I mean, it's an individual choice per family. You've got to look at, yes, how long you're going to stay there. You've got to look at where you might be going next. Overall, what I can say is watch the market too, because if there's an opportunity for you as a family to build your wealth by buying a home, staying there for 3 years, and either selling it and coming out with a nest egg, or in renting it, perhaps to other military families, especially right now, we are really lacking in rentals in a lot of markets. And that's a way that you can build your family's wealth for the future, but also help out your fellow military families, just to offer them a great place and to take care of them as they rent from you.
I love that. I feel like we always get stuck in like hearing the opposite happening of people saying like, oh, you got to leave, or renting out a house and not kicking people out. But at the end of the lease, like, hey, we're going to sell it. I actually do have a friend here who has a portfolio of rentals. And I asked her when the market started to turn into this like crazy hot seller's market, like, are you going to sell off your properties? And she was, no. I've got military families in those properties. I want to make sure they have somewhere to live. So I love just highlighting that that's a thing to you guys. So try to seek that out. So what are some tips? Okay, so you're having this conversation with people to kind of open their eyes about what the options are. What tips would you say are important to keep in mind when we're looking at a home at a duty station? And this could apply for renting or buying, just general tips, but then also if folks are looking at potentially an investment property, what are some of the top things you think they should keep in mind?
Well, definitely look for a home that is not your dream forever home. If you know you're going to be leaving it in a couple of years, what you want is a home that's going to fit the most families in the best way. So look for one that's got a minimum of 3 bedrooms, has either fencing now or the opportunity to fence. Because one of the reasons that families don't take an apartment, for example, is that military families have pets. And we should have a right to have pets too. So if you're not going into an apartment, you're looking for a home that has an opportunity to take care of the pets, the yard, all that sort of thing. So you're not looking for a really sparkly property. You're looking for one that fits the most families in the best way. And that way you're open to more options as far as who can either rent it or purchase it when you leave.
Yeah, I think that's great. It's versatility. So maybe it's a bit smaller than what you see yourself living in forever and ever once your kids get older, et cetera. But if it fits the most families, like that's the configuration that most people are looking for, it really does open up your opportunities to be able to do something else with it. That's great.
Right. You're not looking for the most unique property. You're looking for the
Oh,
one that fits the most people.
yeah. And the thing about pets is huge, actually. I love that you bring that up. It does give you options. We talked to Terry last week, our scout at Fort Leavenworth, and they've always bought homes because they have multiple pets. And they just know that that's a headache that they can circumvent by buying property. So that's a sacrifice that they make. Okay, Marilyn. So let's say now that we've convinced this family, this hypothetical family, that buying a home is totally within their means and, grasp. How early is too early to start sort of evaluating your needs, what the area is like, and then how early is too early to engage with someone like you?
You know, the earlier the better, really. It's funny, before I became an agent, we were up in Groton and getting ready to get our orders, and there were several markets that were possibilities. So I was looking at options in Hawaii, and I was looking at options in Washington and Virginia. And I think that Zillow thought I had a multiple personality problem or something because I was looking in all these different places. And I think that's the more you learn about the market, the better off you are. So do your early looking around. Pop in the Facebook spouse groups if you can. Ask who the military connected great agents are. You're not necessarily looking for the agent who sells the most homes in that market. You're looking for somebody who's going to develop a very special relationship with you. You're going to be working together for several months. So interview several, talk to some people, and get a recommendation of who's really got your best interests at heart and is going to watch out for you.
There's nothing like
So
identify.
early.
Yeah, early. I know. I know. So again, back to like even with like setting up your move we talked about earlier and go into the transportation briefs, all these little things. I feel like oftentimes, especially as spouses, able to or entitled to like engage in that way, you can start early with things like your real estate agent, that relationship. We always encourage people. We encourage people if they use our network, hey, we've done a lot of this pre-vetting for you, but even still, book appointments with several of our agents. You want to find a good fit. It's not just about, what someone knows or like you mentioned, how much they sell. This is somebody that you're going to be working very closely with and calling in a panic with all sorts of feelings, usually, right? So it's a bit therapy. It needs to be a good personality fit. It needs to be a good communication fit. I mean, there's so many things, not only having the military connection and like the empathy that is just innate just from living the life. I love that.
Right. And the earlier you get engaged, then you can also get connected to a lender. We always recommend local lenders because the listing agents and they know that their loans are going to close in time. And so that's usually a good option. The earlier you start with that, the better as well.
I will say the first home that we bought here was like, a million years ago. I don't even want to say. It was a very long time ago. I still have relationships from that very first transaction because it is kind of a lifelong. If you find a good fit, you guys, this is your person, right? This is someone that you can call up and say, "Hey, I'm curious. Heard the mortgage rates were, doing whatever they're doing. What do you think about my situation?" And because you've already established that rapport and that relationship, it's an easy source of expertise that you could just tap into. Reach out early. Don't do this blind. You've got professionals that can help lead you through this process and answer any questions you have. Marilyn, what other words of advice or encouragement might you have for someone, especially let's just focus in on it being this year with all the craziness that's not only happening in the world, but also with real estate markets far and wide. What kind of encouragement do you have for us?
I would say, again, it's going to take you some time to find the home. Depending on the market, we're hearing of families having to put in several offers on homes. So don't fall in love with the first home that you see. Remember, this is temporary. And I think as long as you don't get over emotionally involved with a home, that's the best. So give yourself as much time as possible. Again, make sure that your agent is somebody who really has your best interests at heart and is watching out for you. And if you have an opportunity to put a little bit extra money away, that will help because right now, as you know, sellers are not paying closing costs on behalf of buyers in most markets. So although our VA loans are no down payment, you've got closing costs to think about. So don't forget about, putting away some extra pennies when you have that opportunity.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everything this year, you guys, you're going to have to look at different fuel expenses and all sorts of things. So like the more you're doing now, the better. The more you're preparing for the PCS, the better. Moral of the story, forever and always, do as much as you can as early as you can, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Marilyn, thank you so much for joining us today. We are so appreciative of your time and your expertise. Come back anytime. We'd love to have you. And maybe we'll do a deep
Thank you.
dive next time on Kitsap. Sounds amazing. Yeah. All right. Thanks so much, Marilyn. Take care.